Well, my proudest moment was making the NCAA tournament. Winning against Pepperdine in the CBI was great, but making the NCAA tournament was probably my proudest moment. But more than anything else, it's just that we've been able to do it with some really, really great guys, and all of them have graduated, and so we're doing it right. Uh, our We have a brotherhood amongst our players that I think is really, really special. And then just, we couldn't have done it without just tremendous support of the community. We've had a lot of people be extremely generous so that we could be competitive budget-wise. I mean, all of our international recruiting, that's fundraised dollars. And so uh, just that connection with the community, doing it with great guys. I don't take a single win for granted. They're hard. They're hard to get, especially in the Big Sky. Road wins are precious. And doing it against a lot of great coaches and some real established programs. So hopefully we can keep advancing that. Nothing good comes easy, so it's going to be tough, but our guys are willing to work hard and get it done. What I'd tell all the Eastern fans is November and December is going to be some great Eastern Washington times. I'd say, number one, we're going to ride a great football season, hopefully deep into December. And after you've been cold outside watching the football games, come into the heat of Reese Court and enjoy watching your Eagle team at home. Most of the time, our teams in November, December are developed out on the road. They're kind of a secret. But we kind of paid the price by doing this tournament with Sacramento State. We went there first, so now we get that one by doing a 3-year contract with a company on the MTEs. That brought the MTE tournament to us. So we kind of paid it forward, and that brought us 4 home games that way. Morehead State couldn't get here last year for travel. That brings them here this year. And so it's great to have more home than away games, and it might be 16 years till it happens again. So come on out here and watch and enjoy it.
All right, and welcome back to the Big Sky Digital Media Day. We've moved on to the Eastern men's basketball team. We got head coach Jim Hayford here and senior Julian Harrell. And guys, just thank you both for taking in the time, and we'll just go ahead and get the questions, roll it right into the questions with Coach Hayford. And Coach, what were some of your goals coming off of the offseason here? You guys prepare for another successful season.
Well, it's great to be a part of this event, and greetings from Cheney. I think my goals this offseason, the first one is I really kind of wanted to fine-tune my own coaching philosophy after 17 years as a head coach. My son went off to college. He's a freshman in college. My daughter's a junior in college, and so it's kind of just a realization that, when my players look at me, they're looking at someone similar in age to their father, and so what does that mean? And kind of thinking about that, and just realizing that I'm kind of entering a new decade as a coach. So that really actually was something that I spent a lot of time on this offseason thinking about. I wanted to lose some weight, lost some weight. The banquet circuit's not as good the year. It's better when you go to the NCAA tournament. I wanted to get my golf handicap under 10, didn't do that. I wanted to raise a couple $100,000 for our program. We did do that. And then really to give my players the best possible trip of a lifetime by taking them to Australia, which involved raising some money and putting together just something that the rest of their life they would say, this was one of the highlights of my college years. And so once you put all your attention into all those things, that last game in March, it goes fast, and here we are ready to get after it again. So that was kind of what consumed my off season.
Now, you did speak about the unique opportunity to go to Australia. That's an opportunity that the NCAA allows teams to do every 5 years, is to go out and play international games in that month of August. How do you see? How did that help you guys prepare for this 2016 season?
Well, we have 5 Aussies on our team, and we try to recruit an Australian a year. And obviously, the most famous Australian who's come through Eastern was Venke Joyce, who just graduated. And so I think a real big part of the experience was letting those guys be able to play in front of their families. When you realize, a guy like Felix, who's in his 4th year here, his parents come over once a year and for 10 days or 12 days to see as many games as they can. But that for all those families to get to see their sons play 8 games in a couple-week period of time. I think that was something that was really good. Unfortunately, while we were there, we were hit by the injury bug. But the silver lining in that is a lot of young players got a lot of playing experience before they'd ever really done a day of class. They'd gone to summer school. And so I think that showed us a lot of things about some of the youth in our team and guys having to step up to different roles. And so it was just a great time together. We had a lot of fun, whether it was swimming on the Great Barrier Reef or being on the Sydney Harbor or having meals together or just meeting new and interesting people, or, you know, the guys, you know, when they were enjoying these big cities, Sydney and Melbourne, they were doing it after I went to bed a few nights, but I think they had a great time doing that as well. And so it was just a really neat thing for our program to be able to do.
Now tell us a little bit about your team here. You do graduate the all-time leading scorer in Vinky, but you guys have a lot of talent coming back. You guys have Bogdan coming back. You have Julian that will be a contributor, and then you also bring in a transfer in Jake Wiley, who was a two-time NAIA All-American. So just talk a little bit about the makeup of your team and just kind of what fans can expect out of the Eagles this year.
Well, you know, everybody in the Big Sky is returning a lot of talent. It's my 6th year at Eastern, and which was kind of a record. I think that's the longest anybody's made it through here at Division I, in the Division I era at Eastern. So that's kind of neat. But in my 6 years, this is the best year the whole conference is. And so we lost obviously 2 big key components in Austin and Benke, but we have a lot of pieces that we're really proud of that helped us to, you know, last year was Eastern's 3rd best season, their 3rd most wins in a Division I season. And we think they're pretty good. And they obviously will move into new roles when you have guys like Benke and Austin, who was the leading scorer in the conference, graduate, and Benke, the all-time leading scorer in your program. But they want to step up. They want to do those things. And both Bogdan, Felix, and Julian are all, you know, that's 6'5", 6'6". They can all shoot the 3. Julian and Bogdan are very versatile in that they have a drive game, they have a post-up game, and so, you know, that's some great experience right there. And you put that with Sir Washington, who as a freshman got significant minutes on our NCAA tournament team, and so you got 4 guys who've been in the program who are upperclassmen who will likely start. And then we think we got a really good impact player. You know, Jake Wiley led Lewis and Clark State. They were the #1 seed in the NAIA tournament last year, and he was their best player, first-team All-American for 2 years. In Australia, he averaged over 20 points a game for us. And so our upperclassmen are really, really good. And but there's a lot of teams that are saying that. And there's a lot of really good coaches in this league. So we got our work cut out. We just see it as a really big challenge, and we're going to lean on the leadership of our program, and we're fortunate to have 5 guys with significant experience that we can start a ball game with. And then we got some really good guys in that freshman and sophomore class, and it's going to be up to what they're, you know, if they can play consistently and up to the highest level that they're capable of. If we do all that, then we're going to be a part of the conversation. And so we're just leaning into the hard work and enjoying every day.
And then a question here for Julian. What are you come in here, it's your senior season. What are some of your goals for yourself, and what are maybe some of the expectations you have for you and your teammates this season?
As far as personal goals, Coach Havers challenged me to be a leader on this team. We lost 2 seniors last year. Excuse me. And yeah, the biggest challenge for myself is to lead this group to be the best we can possibly be. It's really my only focus. And as a team, just work as hard as we can every day, and, you know, go out and perform and be confident in each other and just play as a team.
Now, last season was a group that accomplished something that's never been accomplished here at Eastern Washington. You guys were part of your first ever postseason win as an NCAA program. You guys beat Pepperdine in the CBI. What does it mean for you just to be part of that special team and being able to accomplish that here at Eastern?
It means a lot to me. My goal when I come places is to try to leave my mark. I try to accomplish new things and achieve, very high. How would you put this? Exceed expectations when I go new places, and so to be on the first postseason win be a part of that was really cool, and try to build on that this year.
All right. Well, we will head to our phone questions here. We'll ask our first question here real quick. You're on with Coach Hayford and Julian.
Go ahead, Coulter.
Hey, this question's for Coach Hayford. The whole league teams come out the other day, and it's pretty much all guards. I know this has always been a guard-oriented league, but it seems like it'll be like that this year more than ever. Why do you think that is, and where do you think your team fits into that aspect of the league?
That was from Coulter. Yeah, I love that Skyline Sports. That's great for the league. I talked to my guys when it was released and just talked about, here's why we're having to do some things defensively. Look at these top 6 players in the league. They're all guards. And we're going to have to do some things to get the ball out of their hands. When I saw the list, there's a part of me that kind of liked it because the strength of my team is kind of the opposite of all those other teams. And we got a great front court, with Jake, Bogdan, and Julian across that front line. That's going to maybe hit some other teams where they have a weakness. And so we're going to be versatile. A big part of our offense is interchangeability. I expect us to still be very efficient offensively. We're still going to shoot a lot of threes. You're going to have 4 or 5 shooters on the court. We like to play, turn the court downhill. Maybe not play quite as fast as we have, but it'll still be steep, and we'll shoot them from deep. And so what you're seeing with all those guards, I think, in recruiting, it's hard to get big guys at the Big Sky, at any mid-major for that matter. It's just hard to get real good. If you're a decent big guy coming out of high school, you're going to get recruited high major. And so that means the pool of players is a lot bigger at the skill positions. And you got a lot of great coaches in the league, and they're good recruiters, and they evaluate talent. And so those 6 guards are all high major guards playing in a mid-major league because we got some really good coaches, and the pool of players at that position is deeper and bigger.
Hi. Next question here for our online callers.
I'll ask another one if I can. Am I still up?
Yep, you can ask another one.
Sure. Coach, I just wanted to ask you about just this kind of the state of mid-major basketball as well. I know a couple years ago you guys had some really nice wins and kind of climbed up in the mid-major status. Where do you think of just the league right now, where it fits into the mid-major landscape, and what's the biggest thing I need to do to take a next step into becoming one of the top-tier mid-major leagues in the country?
Well, the state of mid-major basketball is hard because the money, where's the money, there's where the power is. And, they call them the Power 5 conferences. But what it means in mid-major basketball, it's just really, really hard to get home games. The more home games you have, the more wins you have. The more wins you have, the higher your RPI is. And so, we're in a league where I think almost all of us are out having to generate revenue by playing and getting money, as opposed to the schools that have the money to give. Now, when you go there and win, and you get road wins, then the RPI goes up, and that's the challenge that we all have to do. So the Big Sky, our conference RPI, I think we're a lot stronger of a league, but when you look at how few home games our league is playing, that's what's pulling it down. Now, at the end of the day, being a mid-major means you're a one-bid league, and so it is what it is. How good are you going to be in March? So it's just a challenge of it. It is what it is, and you're kind of fighting the man, but you got to just embrace that challenge. And this year we play at Texas, at Northwestern, at Xavier, at Colorado, and maybe you do it right. Our football team did it this year at Washington State. We did it a couple years ago at Indiana, and when you do, it's big time for your school, but you just have a huge challenge that the Power 5 conferences just aren't facing.
We're going to move it on over to our questions in-house here. We'll move it over to Jim Allen and the Spokesman Review. Jim?
Thank you. Jim, can you talk a little more about the backcourt? And I know you're facing a lot of tough guards out there in the sky, but who are some of the players you're going to be relying on in the backcourt to fill some of those spots?
Well, I think you're going to see a high stat line out of both Bogdan and Julian because we're going to run a lot of our playmaking through those guys, not necessarily just through the point guard position. And so, Bogdan had the first triple-double in school history last year, and I think that's a stat that him and Julian, should chase after because they're going to have the opportunity to do that. Jake will be a finisher. Felix is, we're going to keep him behind the three-point line where he's best. But to answer your question, that leads really to Sir, Washington, Luka, who's a very, very good freshman coming in with really good size. He's 6'5", close to 6'6" as a point guard. And then we got some other shooters in Cody Benzel and Ty Gibson behind them. And so that's kind of the question mark is how are these younger guys going to do and how can Sir do stepping up into a bigger role? They're athletic enough. They're skilled enough. It's just a matter of the hardest thing in life is getting experience. And so as they gain experience, they're going to be good, and then we're going to be really good in March.
You told me a couple weeks ago about getting better on defense. Now, how does having a tough front court help you in the Big Sky in terms of defense, especially inside?
Well, I've been a head coach 17 years now, and my best field goal percentage defensive teams have been my bigger teams. And this is going to be a bigger team. We're probably bigger than our opponent at each position. Maybe not the 4, but definitely the 1, 2, 3, and 5. And so I expect us to do a better job of field goal percentage defense and rebounding. The better rebounding team you are, that's going to if you're not doing good on the boards, then the team misses a shot, makes a shot. That's 50% field goal percentage right there. And so I think that by having more size, better rebounding, maybe not extend our defense so much, we're going to lower our field goal percentage defense.
A couple questions for Julian. A year ago, you weren't playing because you were injured. How big of a difference does this make for you, being fully healthy and getting into the season running right away?
Makes a huge difference. Having a full summer and then the full preseason leading up to the first game is huge. You get to establish a rhythm with your team. You get to get into your own personal rhythm. You don't have to get back in shape after being hurt. It feels good. It feels really good.
How was that bonding experience in Australia, seeing some of these new guys getting a chance to play and also being a leader for these younger players?
Australia was an amazing experience. Like Coach said, we did get hit by the injury bug a little bit, so I didn't play every game and Bogdan didn't play. So that did open the door for some of the younger guys to step up, and Luka accepted the challenge, and I was really impressed with how he played. And it was a great all-around bonding experience because, like he said, there were most of the time we weren't playing, so we were hanging out with each other, going to get food, swimming in the Great Barrier Reef together, and all that stuff. I think is gonna bode well over the season.
You're one of the seniors. You also have a newcomer in Jake Wiley coming on. Now, how is he bonding with the group? I know he's only here for 1 year, but he is a senior. And what kind of leadership is he also providing along with his playing skills?
Jake is a fantastic athlete. He's a great person, and he is one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. So as far as him coming in being a leader, he leads by example every single day. He's vocal, and he bonds really well. He bonded really well with our team. He meshes well. He doesn't really have a big ego, so everything he just fits right into the puzzle.
Now, in contrast to last year, you guys get a lot of home games in comparison. What does that mean for you, not having to travel as much as you did last year, getting to show these fans what you guys are about early in the season?
I'm actually a fan of road games. I like playing on the road. It's kind of your team versus everybody, but there's nothing like playing here at Reese in front of the fans. we shot the lights out here last year, so hopefully we can keep that up. And it's good to be able to be at home a little more often and not, have to deal with the exhaustion from traveling and going on road trips for, 15 days or playing, 4 or 5 straight games on the road.
Thank you, Jim, for all those questions, and we'll go back here. Coach Hafer, just want to talk a little bit about the conference tournament itself. Last year they moved to a format where it's a single site here in Reno. How would you describe your experience last season, and what would your message be to fans here in Cheney to get them down to Reno as tickets start going on sale November 14th?
Well, I'd tell our fans come to Reno. You get to see both the women and the men's team. We won one and lost a close one to Idaho there, so I want to stay there longer. I think it was a great experience for the players. One of the things I really enjoyed was seeing the players from different teams being able to visit with each other, whether it's in the hallways or eating a meal. They all share a very similar journey. They're all college students. They're traveling through the same cities, and they're competing against one another. And so by having the conference tournament that way, I think it kind of let some more community happen between, these people that are going at it hard on the court. I thought that was a really neat component of it. And for us, some of our international parents, it let them come and extend their trip a little bit longer because they knew where they were going to be. And so that was kind of a neat thing for it. And so I just hope we'll get more people there and maybe be able to market it a little bit better there in Reno so that more people are watching our guys play.
And then talking about, Jim's already asked Julian about this, but I want to ask you yourself. You guys have a big home schedule. You guys have 16 regular season home games. It's the most regular season home games Eastern has had since 1999-2000 season. So it's honestly the first time this century that Eastern has hosted that many home games. And then also it's a quality schedule. You guys play 4 teams that would finish the year in the top 150 in the RPI last year. So it's a challenging schedule. It's a good schedule. It's an abundant schedule. So what would your message be to the fans here in the Cheney-Spoken area to help get them to Reese Court and help you guys protect the nest?
What I'd tell all the Eastern fans is November and December is going to be some great Eastern Washington times. I'd say number one, we're going to ride a great football season, hopefully deep into December. And after you've been cold outside watching the football games, come into the heat of Reese Court and enjoy watching your Eagle team at home. Most of the time, our teams in November, December are developed out on the road. They're kind of a secret. But we kind of paid the price by doing this tournament with Sacramento State. We went there first, so now we get that one by doing a 3-year contract with a company on the MTEs. That brought the MTE tournament to us, so we kind of paid it forward, and that brought us 4 home games that way. Morehead State couldn't get here last year for travel. That brings them here this year. And so it's great to have more home than away games, and it might be 16 years till it happens again. So come on out here and watch and enjoy it.
And then a question here for Julian here. Back in the past, coaches called you a triple threat by being able to shoot, drive, and pass the ball. How do you approach games, and then how do you adjust to maximize your abilities?
I approach each game differently. I try to watch a lot of film on the team we're going to play, both offensively and defensively. And within the first few minutes of the game, I try to feel out how the defense is going to play. So if it's a game where I need to pass, then I don't have a problem doing that. But if it's a game where I need to be aggressive offensively, then I try to have my skill set at a point where I can do that if called upon.
And speaking of here, you're not the only Big Sky athlete in your family. You have a brother who plays football with Northern Colorado who was just here a couple weeks ago. So just kind of talk about that. Do you guys have a friendly sibling rivalry between the two whenever Eastern and Northern meet either on the basketball court or the football field?
Actually, he plays for UC Davis.
Sorry, UC Davis.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's okay.
UC Davis. Sorry.
But yeah, there was some friendly banter between us. But I mean, at the end of the day, I want to see my little brother do well, and I pull for him as hard as he pulls for me, and I have no doubt that he's my biggest fan and I'm his biggest fan in return. But there's definitely some trash talk involved.
And then we'll ask our final question here. Coach, we'll go back to you for this one. What's been your biggest source of pride in the development of your program over the last 5 years? You guys have done a lot of things here since you came in 5 seasons ago. What's been some of your proudest moments here as a coach?
Well, my proudest moment was making the NCAA tournament. Winning against Pepperdine in the CBI was great, but making the NCAA tournament was probably my proudest moment. But more than anything else, it's just that we've been able to do it with some really, really great guys, and all of them have graduated, and so we're doing it right. We have a brotherhood amongst our players that I think is really, really special. And then we couldn't have done it without just tremendous support of the community. We've had a lot of people be extremely generous so that we could be competitive budget-wise. I mean, all of our international recruiting, that's fundraised dollars. And so just that connection with the community, doing it with great guys. And I don't take a single win for granted. They're hard. They're hard to get, especially in the Big Sky. Road wins are precious. And doing it against a lot of great coaches and some real established programs. So hopefully we can keep advancing that. Nothing good comes easy, so it's going to be tough, but our guys are willing to work hard and get it done.
All right. Well, Coach Julian, we appreciate your time for coming in here. We're almost out of time here on the Big Sky Digital Media Day. Just a couple of reminders. The men's team opens its exhibition season next Sunday, October 30th, against St. Martin's out of the GNAC. It'll be a 2:05 tip-off here at Reese Court, so if you're in the area, please come out. Admission is free to that game. And then also you guys open the season against Linfield on November 11th for a 12:05 tip-off here in Cheney. So if you're in the area, come out for that. Also a reminder that our Eagle Madness will be next Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. at Reese Court. Come out and get your first look at the Eagles men's and women's teams this year. And once again, season tickets are on sale for the men's and women's team. Family 4-packs are on sale for the men's team. $100 gets you 4 general admission tickets for all 16 home games. It's the best deal around, so take advantage of that. Guys, we thank you very much for coming in here. Thank you for tuning in, and go Eags. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the campus of Eastern Washington University for our Big Sky Digital Media Day. We're going to have our women's team go first with head coach Wendy Schuler and senior Tisha Phillips. Just a reminder for those who are waiting to ask in questions to please press *1. Once again, that's *1 if you're waiting to ask questions, and we'll get to those questions in about 5 minutes. But first, we're going to start with head coach Wendy Schuler and senior Tisha Phillips, and then we'll move on to our men's team, where head coach Jim Hayford and senior Julian Harrell will be on air with us. So first, we'll just welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll go ahead and get it started here. The first question is just for head coach Wendy Schuler. Coach, what are some of your goals from this past season, and what kind of a team do you expect to have in the 2016-17 edition?
We're really excited about the team that we've got coming back from last year. This summer, our team worked extremely hard in the weight room, on the floor, just specifically on certain skills that each player had to work on. And so I feel like our team chemistry, our strength, our skill level is all improved over last year. And we had a nice season last season, but it wasn't enough for us. And so we have high expectations. I know that Tish and AP want to have phenomenal senior years, and I think that we've got a nice mix of players that put us in a position to do so.
Now, you guys were preseason 4th in the coaches poll, 5th in the media poll, 5th in the coaches poll, and you guys are returning 4 starters, and 3 of them made up 52% of your scoring last year. So while, yes, you guys do lose the program's all-time leading scorer in Haley Hodgins, you still bring a lot of offensive firepower from last year.
We have a lot of firepower back. I think a lot of times because Haley was such a special player, players would defer to her a little bit, including the one right next to me. Tish had, big games for us last season, and it was kind of her coming out party, and now she's in a position to really lead us and be a major factor for us offensively. And I think that we're pretty talented and deep, and I was surprised, frankly, because we have, 4 starters back off of the second place team in the league last year, but that team was picked 9th, and so it makes sense in terms of just the amount of respect that our program gets or doesn't get.
And speaking of that, what's the message that you can maybe give to your fans about buying tickets when they go on sale for the Big Sky Championships in Reno? They do go on sale November 14th. Every school will be down there. What are the message that you would send to your fans and maybe encourage them to buy a ticket package down to Reno?
Reno was a fun experience for us last year. It was a great tournament atmosphere. It was neat having everybody, all in the same hotels and, crossing each other's fans and things like that. It was nice to be able to support our men's basketball team and have them support us. It was a great experience, and I know that all the fans that were there really had a great time. And so I encourage if you haven't done it to experience it, go do it, because Reno's a neat city to go visit, and you're going to see 2 great basketball teams with ourselves and the men. Both competing for championships, and you'll enjoy the experience. And people who went last year, come back.
Now, you've already touched on it a little bit here, but with the 4 starters coming back, there's going to be faces that fans are familiar with. Just talk about maybe some of those players in particular and what they've done in the offseason to maybe improve their game and step up and into that role and make up for that scoring that you guys will lose in Haley.
Well, it starts again with Tisha and Ashley Payne, our 2 seniors, who both in the off season, just improved just specific aspects of their game that we just felt like we needed to get better at. They spent a lot of time, and we've seen that carry over just in the first weeks of practice. So those are 2 players that definitely, I think, deserve respect and will be major factors for us this year. And then you have Delaney Hodgins, who was recognized on the all-conference team last year and the preseason team. Delaney's another player that I think will be able to score for us and pick up some of that scoring load. I also feel like our post game is improved from a year ago. We were young and inexperienced inside last year, and I think we have a renewed emphasis on getting the ball into the post, and I think they're very capable of helping us out. And I think if we have that inside-out game, then it makes us just that much more effective offensively. So Amira Chandler and Mariah Cunningham will be really good in the post, and I like who we have. I like our mix.
This next question is for Tisha. Tisha, you're the returning senior point guard here. This is a team that you've played with for a while. You know the ins and outs of this team. You know this offense, being a senior here, a 5th-year senior. Just talk about, what are some of your expectations and goals, being, having that chemistry and having that bond with the other 3 starters?
Just knowing the system, being a leader is probably my biggest goal. Making sure my team's doing what it has to do, as well as me doing what I have to get done, and just kind of carrying the team and getting where we need to be.
Now, what are some things that you worked on in the offseason to maybe enhance your game a little bit?
Ball handling and developing a jump shot, because I was kind of a 2-dimensional player, and now kind of trying to get the all around, kind of tightening everything up.
Now, going back to Reno here, what was your experience playing in that neutral site championships tournament format? Did you like that? How did you like playing a neutral site as opposed to going over to the first place host site?
It was nice because we all got to see everyone play. We got to see men's and women's, seeing all the teams around, as well as not having really a home court advantage, like going to Montana or North Dakota, long travels, or just a loud gym. It was nice.
And then you guys have already had a couple of weeks of practice under your belt here. How's practice been going, and what's some of the things that Coach Schuler and the staff's been focused on?
It's been a lot of just teaching, getting down the basics of our system. We're starting to come together now. We're just working on basically making sure we know our stuff. And
then this is your senior year here, and you're a 5th-year senior here. This is your last kind of go around here. What What's been some kind of your favorite moments so far within the last 4 years?
Probably the big games. I mean, I can't really. One I'll remember is our buzzer beater against Montana, and kind of just the ups and downs of being here. They all play a part in why it's been a good experience for me.
All right, well, we'll go to our first phone-in question here. You're on air with the Eastern Washington University women's basketball team. State your name and your question.
Hi, this is, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jason. Your line is open.
Okay, great. This is Jason Ashcraft over at the Big Sky office. This question is for Coach Schuler. Coach, this year in women's basketball, with just as much turnover as we've had with student athletes graduating, it seems like there's a lot of questions. Do you kind of feel like this women's basketball race this year is anybody's game, or do you feel like there are going to be some teams that maybe are the usual suspects, or what is kind of your feeling as to the state of women's basketball in the Big Sky Conference?
I think women's basketball in the Big Sky is as healthy and strong as it's ever been. It'll be an interesting year because of the turnover that you alluded to, with a lot of great players that graduated. But I think there's a lot of great players coming back, and it's going to be fun and exciting to see some of the young players in this league as they grow their games. But I really think it's kind of going to be the same old when it comes to parity in the conference. Last year teams that weren't expected to do really well did, and some teams that maybe were expected to have great seasons didn't achieve their expectations. But there's always someone that rises from the ashes and surprises everyone. And you never know, with injuries and chemistry and everything else that goes into the equation. There's a lot of basketball in front of us before we even get to Big Sky play. So I think that it's going to be a horse race for sure.
All right, great. And a follow-up question here for Tisha. There seems to be a lot of talent around the league. Who do you think you stack up well against in the Big Sky Conference?
Do I what?
I can see Montana, as usual. They're always a hard team to beat. Sac State, Montana State, Idaho, of course. They always give us a good game. I mean, pretty much the ones who were picked in the top 4 or 5.
All right, thanks, ladies.
All right, we'll move on here to Jim Allen, the spokesman review. Jim, go ahead and ask your question.
I forgot all the teams in the conference.
Just got a couple of questions. First for Tisha, how do you see your role changing in this compared to last year?
Last year, my job when I stepped in, I pretty much be a leader, try to run my team, run the offense, make sure we're all on the same page. And this year, I feel like losing Haley, that kind of opens up more offensively, because last year I kind of just took what was given to me, and this year it's kind of we have to make up what we lost with Haley.
Wendy, a couple questions about the inside players. Ashley's back, had a strong last year. Mariah, what are you expecting from those two in terms of picking up some of that slack inside and just being more dominant inside?
Yeah, I think Ashley Payne is more comfortable with her back to the basket than she was a year ago, and that makes her just such a threat because she's a great three-point shooter. She can bounce it from the perimeter, and now she's comfortable with her back to the basket. So she's a tough player to guard. Mariah has just continued to improve offensively, and we don't try and do a million things inside. We try and just do the things that we do well, and she's done that. And Amira Chandler, I think that, she kind of had a little coming out about mid-season last year, or maybe even midway through conference play. You could just kind of see a light go on with her, and I think that Amira is going to continue to play better and better, and the more minutes and the more experience she has, she's going to give us that threat inside, because she's big. She's 6'2", and physically she's added muscle to her frame, and she looks really good. And so I think that we've got several players. Allie Sealby's another one that Allie looks really good and has improved from a year ago. And we're young inside, and I think that those guys are just going to continue to grow and get better.
Finally, in the backcourt, who are some of the younger players, some of the newcomers and underclassmen who you expect to step up?
We're really excited about our freshman class. They're talented. They are great athletes. They're great basketball players. Uriah Howard comes from Oakland and played at Miramonte High School, where she was on one of the best high school teams in the country, and just does so many things. Uriah can post. She can shoot the three. She's going to be a really good defender, I think. Simone Starks is a point guard who, again, comes from another great high school program in Colorado, and is going to be a special point guard. I think it's great that she has the opportunity to play with Tisha for a year and just really learn how to be a crafty, tough player. And then Amy Hardworld's our other freshman, and she's talented. She's a long, wiry kid that has a lot of aspects to her game. So I think those three freshmen are really going to be significant contributors. And then the best part about last year's freshmen is now they're sophomores, and they've got that year under their belt. They played a lot of minutes as freshmen last year, and so I think all the sophomores, I mentioned Amir and Allie, but Capri and Key, those guys are all going to be better for us,
Thank you.
All right, we'll have one more phone question here. It'll be our last question for the women's basketball team, and then we'll move on to the men's. So go ahead and ask your question. You're on. Go ahead.
Hey, this is Colter Nuanez from Skyline Sports. This question is for Coach Schuler. Just wanted to ask you, what do you think of just mid-major basketball in general, and where Eastern Washington fits into that, where the Big Sky Conference fits into it in general? What are some of the challenges, and how have you guys tried to address those, and what do you think you guys need to do going forward to continue to help this league and your own program rise as a mid-major program?
The question was, what do you think the state of mid-major women's basketball is, and what are some of the challenges that you guys face as a mid-major program, be it travel schedule, scheduling in general, playing in bigger schools? Just what are some of the challenges that go along with it, and just kind of how are you able to overcome those?
Yeah, I think that the state of mid-major women's basketball is great right now. There was a long time that there was a huge gap between the big dogs and the rest of us, and I think that we've narrowed that gap quite a bit. And you saw that in the NCAA tournament last year. You saw a lot of 12 seeds beating 5 seeds, et cetera, or just being in games where it used to be those were blowouts. So I think mid-major basketball is really good right now, and that's just because women's basketball talent, there's more good players. Now it's not that all the big schools get all the good players and the rest of us kind of figured out. We all have good players. We all have really good players. Our talent level is greater than it was 5 years ago and 10 years ago, and I think everybody around the league feels that way. But there are challenges. There's challenges with scheduling and getting people to come to your place because you don't have the guaranteed dollars that some of those big schools have. The Big Sky is arguably one of the toughest leagues in the leagues in the country in terms of travel. It can be brutal, and so we don't always charter our flights and do those types of things, and so that can make the travel tougher than it might be on an Oregon or a USC or somebody like that. But I feel like we're right there. I mean, we've beaten Washington State and University of Florida in the last couple of years, and so I think we've shown that we can play at a high level.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. Tisha, thank you very much for your time as well. We know you guys have to get back to our practice. We really appreciate you taking the time out of this. Best of luck this season. You guys start on November 6th, an exhibition contest against Eastern Oregon at 1 p.m., and they officially kick off the season at the preseason WNIT at in-state rival Washington on November 11th at 7 p.m. So come out, support your Eags, and thank you guys for coming in, and we'll be right back with Jim Hayford and Julian Harrell.